girls watching TV shows, and some of it's good and some of it blows. And when we finish the movies, yeah, we need a scotch, and we turn to each other and say, what did we just watch? All right, we're live.
Hello. Welcome.
Welcome to
What did we just
watch?
watch? Why do we do that? Try to do that every time.
I don't know. I felt like it's
we
standard
will
now.
Succeed.
We have a special guest.
Yes, we do. Hello, Mr. Dan Delmonaco.
APO, former APO president.
Falling downhill from there.
Wow.
I was gonna say
legacy.
others. Former APO president, current grad student. I don't know.
That's about it. That's all I got going on.
I'm like, no, well, let me think of a better descriptor, but I think that's all we have to our names, are our past APO exec positions. So
Yeah.
we might as well wear them with pride. We just made Dan sit through an hour and a half, and Emily, because Kiana and I have seen this movie. And what's the movie? What's the movie you watched today, Dan?
GBF from 2013.
Yes.
And it shows.
It shows.
Yes,
it did not age well.
Not great.
Not well.
I still wholeheartedly love it, but it's not like a great movie. But I don't love it because like its message. I just think it's ridiculous.
Emma, Kiana, like what would you wager this is number time viewing for each of you?
I would say
4?
yeah, either third or fourth time.
Yeah.
Is this like an annual tradition?
Yeah, we had a phase in college that we watched it every year.
You waited till Emily left the room and then you watched GBF.
I swear you watched it.
I swear you were there for one of them.
Yeah.
Like I would have believed you until we watched it, and I have to say that I have never seen it.
I'm not sure
I
how you
would've
didn't catch it. Maybe it was with no, it was definitely just us, but I feel like maybe like we were at our apartment or something on like one of the watches, and maybe you just weren't there.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like
there were times where I wasn't there.
it might have been freshman year while we were waiting for you to come back from APO.
Yeah, you're
That's
right.
probably what it was, because you guys always complained that I was always at APO, and I went to my like weekly pledge meeting.
You were
like,
always at APO.
Whatever. I don't remember what day of the week it was, but it was like 7 p.m. in Morton Hall. And I had to trudge there, and I always got yelled at. You guys probably watched it while I was there.
But it is our third or fourth watch, I would say.
So it's close to our hearts, but maybe after this last watch, it's gonna get a little further away from our hearts. But yeah, we definitely like watched it the first time, and we were like, "What is this?"
Yeah,
definitely in our streak of like we watch. This is before we intentionally watched bad movies. We were like, gay best friend? That sounds nice. And then we watched it and we're like, oh.
That's exactly how the first viewing went for us. We were like, oh my gosh, GBF, that sounds fun. Like, and like it had the cover art, like the movie poster is very like colorful and like teen, coming of age vibes. So we're like, okay. And then we watched it and we were like, oh, what the heck?
I also, beginning of this viewing, the rating came on. It was like rated R, and I was like, "This movie's rated R? What?"
They used so many
because
slurs.
of the language.
Yeah, definitely. I guess it was, but I just like did not know that. I just assumed it was like a normal PG-13 movie. But like,
there's a scene where a guy puts his hand on his crotch.
I mean, younger me was like, "This is." Appropriate for 13-year-olds.
Yeah, it doesn't have the tone of like a typical rated R movie, but the phrases they use again and again.
It must be that, yeah.
I feel like that's what it is, yeah.
We'll get into it. Before we get into it though, we got to tell you what the hell happened in this movie. God. And Kiana took some notes. And hopefully we won't be here for 4 hours. There's literally so much that happened.
Yeah, those notes, look at it. They're just...
Oh my God. So you can't say all of them.
I'm going to try to like do the...
You got this.
Okay, So opening scene is, it's the credits, yearbook credits. Starts off with Tanner's narration. So Tanner's played by Michael J. Willett, who's also a gay band. So that's kind of cool. And he starts
was in Faking It, Gay Canon from MTV.
He starts off saying that he's an average comic book nerd who just wants to fly under the radar for his high school. And his best friend is also, he's a gay man as well. And his best friend is gay. His name is Brent, who's played by Paul Aquino. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce his last name. Who wants to have this like big dramatic coming out. And he wants to be the first so he can be the GBF, the gay best friend of the 3 queen bees who like would fight over him because they want a gay best friend because that's the new fad. So it goes down the list of the 3 queen bees. So we have Caprice, who's she's the only black character in this movie.
That's the one.
And she's every single stereotype of a black character as well. And she's the black theater nerd. And then we have Ashley, who goes by Slee, who's the merman goody goody two-shoes. And she's also kind of dumb. And then we have Fawcett Brooks, who's the hottie with the attitude. She's like the coolest girl around. And Tanner calls them basically neighboring warlords on the edge of attack every single day because they hate each other so much and they want to overthrow each other, the queen bee status. So then it goes through Tanner's friends. So we have Tanner, Brent, we have Glenn, who they repeatedly call him throughout this movie as the token like heterosexual. Like he loves vagina. Like they really hammer that down in this movie. He's also like one of the Asian characters in this movie as well. There's only like 2 people of color and it's these 2. And I maybe the principal who comes later in, but he has 1 line.
Yeah. Definitely like you can count on one hand how many minorities were in the movie for sure.
You don't need the whole hand.
Yeah, that's
Don't need the whole hand.
just need a couple fingers.
So, and then we have Sophie, who seems like she has very like lesbian vibes, or at least bisexual, but we're assuming that she's also straight because the movie doesn't talk about it. Who just like is the goth girl basically, so she just doesn't care about this all this drama and politics. So they're like, Brent, how do you know they want GBFs? And Brent knows because he's been literally reconning this whole entire like school year and overhearing all their talks and like since GBF is a fad, of course these queen bees want one. So I go through the list of how they interact, how he knows they want a GBF, but we do not need to get into that. Because then the only thing you need to know that Ivana Lynch is also in this movie from Harry Potter, Luna Lovegood. She's a bigot. That's all you need to know.
And we'll have to talk about how she plays the role because I really have lots of opinions.
And then, so then Tanner gets a new phone and Brent's like, I want to download the Gaidar app, which is just Grindr, but for I guess horny teenagers and not like men. I don't know. And Tanner's like, nah, I don't really want to do that at first. And then it skips over. There's also a lot of cutting, so then it skips over from them to JoJo because JoJo Leave Get Out fame is in this movie as well, and she wants to make a gay straight alliance. But there's Natasha Lyonne, who's also in this movie. I'm sorry, I'm just like dropping these names. But Natasha Lyonne is like, you can't have a gay straight alliance with no gay people, JoJo. Come on, get it together. And she's like,
which is like not true. Like you could definitely do it without the gay.
Yeah, that was definitely the case in my high school. I have to say.
So JoJo is like praying. She's like, I want to out someone so bad. Like literally that. It's so weird. She like pretty much says that. And Fossa overhears. So she's like, I want to help you find a GBF, but not to really actually help JoJo. She wants her own GBF. So Megan, was it Megan Mullally? Mullally. Of, Parks and Rec fame, like Will and Grace fame. Like she's in this movie as well, and she's Brent's mom. And Brent and Tanner go to do homework, but they're just gonna like goof off. But she thinks that they're gonna have sex, but Brent hasn't come out to his mom yet, so he's just like. And Tanner's like, why not? And he's like, well, I don't really want to because I wanted to make a whole scene and I don't want to give it the satisfaction quite yet. And they're like, okay. So they have like a dance party. Brent starts voguing. It's kind of nice. They're vibing. And then Megan comes in. She's like, hey guys, you got any poppers? Let's do some poppers. And they're like, get out. And she's like, cool. I'm actually leaving for the next hour. So you guys want to do anything? Because she thinks they're having sex. And Brent's like, just leave, mom. So the whole point of this scene is so Brent can finally convince Tanner to use the Guidar app. And they take a picture of just like Brent's face, but then Brent's like, no. And they just take like a headless like ab pic of Tanner, and they start using that and they start messaging guys, but nothing really comes from it. So then it goes to school the next day, and JoJo and her other like gals have downloaded this Guidar app to out someone in the school because they desperately need a gay person, only gay male as well. Like they never talk about any like gay women, just like gay men.
You don't.
And they basically catfish. They catfish everyone. They use Ralph Patterson's glowing like body, Zac Efron, and someone else.
Adam Lambert.
Adam Lambert.
Who we talked about a couple pods ago.
Yes.
I think they use the phrase, this covers all our bases.
Yes, I did.
With those three.
And at this point, I didn't catch Sophie's name, so I put in my notes, Tanner's friend. I really didn't know her name. But Sophie overhears them, and she tries to warn Tanner, but Tanner gets his phone taken away from the teacher. So then she warns Brent and Glenn, who Brent like answers the phone in the middle of his German class and just like speaks so loudly, interrupts the whole class. And then they all leave to chase after Tanner.
What
and
was his
like,
sign off too? What did he say?
He was like,
he said,
It's
"What's up, bitch?" I love that though. I want to use that.
So this is like a game of like Pokemon Go. They're using this app somehow to track Tanner's phone. So JoJo and her friends track it to his third period teacher's class. The teacher's like, what the heck are you doing in my class? Like, this is the middle of class. And she's like, oh my God. I don't even remember his name, Mr. Chalet or something like that. Is this your phone? You have a wife. Even though that doesn't make any sense because you could still be gay and have a wife. Yeah. Anyway. And then he's like, no, this is Tanner's phone. And then Tanner has to come out because JoJo and her friends outed him, basically. And Tanner's like, this is all your fault, Brent. And Brent's like, sorry, homie. But they have a bigger confrontation in the next scene where Tanner actually goes to his house. They yell at each other. Brent's like, I'm actually really sorry, but I wasn't ready to come out. And Tanner's like, I wasn't ready to come out either. So this is all your fault. And he calls him the F word, but not the like other F word. Like
not fuck, the other one.
Slur. And then the mom is like, whoa, like Megan comes in. She's like, homie, you can't just be saying that. And he's like, it's okay. Miss, I don't remember his name, Miss Van Camp, because I'm a slur and I could use that. And also your son is. So she outs Brent. And obviously Brent's upset. He's like, what the heck? And Tanner's like, goodbye. And he runs off. But in his inner monologue, he's like, I feel so bad. I can't believe I just did that. And I'm like, turn around, talk to your friend, apologize. But that's not going to happen.
No, don't be insane.
So after that, you meet Tanner's parents, and they don't really make an appearance, but every time they do appear, they're really weird. And the stepmom also wants to feed him all the time. Any time of the day, she's like, do you want a snack? Do you want me to make you something? And he's like, no, I'm fine. Bye. So I don't know the joke behind that.
It's just like a weird like character trait to choose.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
oh,
I
you
was
know,
just like,
classic
that's
like
nice of her.
classic stepmom trope where like she's always trying to feed her
Yeah.
stepson food, you
Yeah,
know.
I
Like,
could
that doesn't-
tell that I could tell the movie was like trying to make it like a weird thing that she was doing, but she just came in. She was like, "Oh, I'm like heating up a cinnamon roll for you." Like, that's nice. Like,
Yeah, it really doesn't make any sense. It happens multiple times throughout the movie though. So then next day Tanner goes back to school. Of course, the dumb jock, whose name is Hamilton also. Can we talk about we'll talk about that later. His name is Hamilton. And he's like being mean to Tanner, and then Fawcett comes in. Fawcett's like, Hamilton, I'm gonna let the whole school know that you have a tiny dick if you don't like leave Tanner alone. And then he leaves him alone. And then we really never see Hamilton after that, which is
Yeah.
nice. So after that, the other two queen bees show up. So Ashley, I'm just gonna call her Ashley. Ashley and Caprice show up and they're like, let's go out for some coffee because that's what the gays love. And Tanner's just like, okay, I guess I don't really like iced coffee, but okay. So they like go to coffee. They have a really awkward conversation full of just like derogatory comments basically. And you're just like, okay. Ashley is like, since she's Mormon, so she's kind of low-key racist because she's like, I don't know what she says to Caprice, but it was something like my. Do you remember?
They were like, well, they were telling, I can't remember, Tanner, that like you don't sound gay. And then Ashley was like, well, and like Caprice, she doesn't sound black.
Yeah.
And then Caprice was like, sometimes I do, or something like that.
Yes, because they're also all walking stereotypes of themselves. Like that is the whole point of this movie, basically. So then, the next day they take him out to for a makeover because they're like, oh God. Actually, they're actually like, oh God, because they don't think he's gay enough. But I put in the makeover that the montage for the makeover is to Anything Could Happen by Ellie Goulding. And I just was like jamming out. They put him in some horrible fits as well, but
awful.
Throughout the makeover,
movie is garbage fits just in general.
I thought they were good when I was younger, but they're like bad.
No,
I don't know why I thought
awful.
I liked Natasha Lyonne's fits.
Oh yes,
she had good fits.
She did, but no one else did.
So Tanner is sad because he misses Brent, but he doesn't text him. Also, Brent, his contact name for it is like all one word, which is really weird. Because they show what Tanner's contact name like Tanner's name and Brent's phone, and it's Tan. So I'm confused to why Tan and Brent Van Camp is so different vibes. But anyway, so they have the makeover. Ashley introduced her boyfriend Topher. Topher comes back because he's a wild ride.
Topher.
So Ivana Lynch, she's another scene where she confronts Ashley and she's like, I'm quitting the club because you're hanging out with a gay man. And Ashley doesn't understand why she's quitting the club because, again, she's dumb. So then Ivana Lynch just leaves, and that was that scene. Have
we talked about how Ashley's a Mormon?
Yes, I mentioned
and Ivana Lynch and Topher.
Yes, Topher. Everyone's Mormon that hangs out with Ashley.
It's a really big deal. Yeah,
yes.
It is a really big deal.
They talk about it a lot.
So Britt is in his feelings, which is fair because his friend just added him to his mom, and he had like his other friends, Glenn and Sophie are trying to like help him out, but he's really just like, I don't really want any help. So there's a line in this movie that says that Foss is like, yeah, we're in a 3-way with Tanner. But then she's like, not like that. And I'm like, no one was thinking like that, Fawcett. No one at all. But I just wanted to mention that line. Jojo comes through. Jojo has no real character development, but she comes throughout the movie begging Tanner to come to the gay straight alliance club. And every time I'm like, Jojo, you outed him in front of the whole school. He's not gonna join your gay straight alliance club. Like, leave him alone. So that happens again in the next scene. So then Fawcett's like, Fawcett and I guess Tanner have classes together because they spend a lot of time with each other. And she's like, hey, I want to try some outfits. Do you want to hang out later? And he's like, sure. But then the other queen bees hear that. So they all make plans with him, not together, but one-on-one. So I say Fawcett and Tanner get deep in her bedroom because they like talk about emotions, and she reveals that she's actually super smart with chemistry and like science, and she's not actually just a dumb blonde. And we're like, wow, you're great. And she makes her own hair care line that she uses, which is actually kind of cool. I don't know if we want to talk about this now, but I'm gonna bring it up. This is the scene where me and Emma were talking about, where we're like, what is going on? Because the tension is weird.
The tension, the hormones are raging between them during that scene. It was
so like,
and then later at the party, I don't know.
Really?
Yes. They were like, so, oh my gosh, there were so many spots. I was like texting Kiana separately outside of our group chat, and I was like, the way they're sitting, like the way they're facing each other, like, I don't know. I just, not with any of the other queen bees, but with Fawcett for sure.
It's only with Fawcett. Like, he like never has that kind of, like, also Britt and Caprice, well, which we'll eventually get to later in this thing, never have that like weird, it's weird. That's all I gotta say. It's weird.
I feel validated, even if they don't agree. I feel validated because we like came to that conclusion separately when we like watched it the first few times.
Yeah.
And then we were like, wait, no, this is real. I think maybe it's just because
I believe you.
I might have been just paying attention. There was a lot going on.
There was a lot going on.
There is a lot.
I wasn't looking for that.
On like on like third or fourth view, I probably would get there.
Yeah.
It was just weird. It was just weird.
So after that scene, they switch over to Sophie and Glenn and Britt. And Britt is still really moping. And then Sophie just kind of is like, come on, man, you just got to pick yourself back up. And he's like, nah, I don't really want to. And then so she like leaves, and Glenn and Sophie leave, and they have a falling out because of his pity party. So then the next day, Tanner goes to Ashley and Topher's house for
dinner
brunch. It was like breakfast brunch. And Topher's being real weird. Like, he's talking about the meat at the table, and Tanner's like, this is getting uncomfortable. So then Tanner goes to the bathroom, which then Ashley comes in and is like, hey, I need some advice on how to do like BJs, HJs, and RJs. And Tanner's like, I have no idea what those are, and I cannot give you that advice. I'm so sorry. And then they like leave the bathroom after he finishes using it, and Ashley's like, oh yeah, Topher reminded me I have a young Republicans meeting later. He's gonna take you home, Tanner. So Tanner and Topher are in the car together when Topher proceeds to hit on Tanner because, surprise, surprise, he's a closeted gay Mormon who's dating Ashley. And he talks about how he's going to go to mission soon and get Ashley knocked up with babies, so might as well live life now. And Tanner's like, no. He also makes Tanner grab his crotch. I want to also talk about
and then tries to kiss him, and Tanner has to like leave by like ejecting himself out of the car.
He like twists his ankle and like limps away, and Topher's like,
and he
dang.
limps away like grabbing his crotch, like, my erection's too big, I can't run.
I didn't even notice that.
It was awesome. It was not good.
I'm trying to process that too with the like how it fits into the events, because it doesn't really make sense. Also, Topher said, I want to get this out of my system before he like
get it into Tanner's system.
Hey, before he assaults Tanner. He says that fun line.
Very disturbing scene all around.
So then the next day, because we just go by days as well, like time means nothing in this movie. Then Caprice is like, I have a prom date for you, Tanner, and his name is Christian. He's British and he's from college. And he's like, Tanner's like, sure, I'll go on a date with him. And he's gonna show up at Cameron's party later because they have of course they're gonna have a party scene later. And then they show a blurry photo of Christian that's like the worst photo you've ever seen. Like I guess they actually didn't have a picture of the actor, so they were just like just blur out this face. And he's like, Tanner's like, oh my god, his lips are to die for. I'm like, I cannot see any.
Also, his lips are not going to be to die for when we meet him.
Yes,
he's like a normal British boy.
That's like me showing my friends a pic of a guy I know that they're gonna think is ugly. I choose like the most low qual pic. I'm like, see, isn't he so hot?
And we're like, oh yeah, sure.
That happened recently. I was talking to Kiana about this guy that I was like having really good conversation with, and she's like, oh, like what does he look like? And I'm like, no. No. Because I know you're gonna
how that guy looks now.
You'll never find out.
Oh no.
Okay, so the next scene is, of course, is Cameron's party, and the game is afoot. The gays, the girls, they're at it again at this Cameron's party. It flashes over to Megan and Brent, and Megan's trying to be relatable, and she's like, I have all these gay DVDs, let's watch one. And she decides to take Brokeback Mountain, which I've never seen before.
I've never seen it, but I know
I actually
it's
haven't
not
seen it
something
either.
you watch with your mom.
It's so good. You should
Maybe we
not
should
watch it with
on
your
the
mom, but it's so good. Why you watched it is because Dan said you should watch it.
Perfect. That's all I need.
It's actually just like great and heartbreaking.
Oh no.
Every gay movie ever, by the way, except for this one.
This is kind of sad at the end. We'll talk about it. So Ashley starts drinking because she doesn't know how to read, because she gets a can out of the refrigerator. She's like, do you think this has caffeine or alcohol in it, Caprice? And Caprice is like, sure, but it's like a Four Loko, basically.
Yeah.
Well, no, Caprice does the like, I know it has both of those things, but like, no, it doesn't. Because she's like,
she's like,
what was it called? Chica Loca?
I think Chico.
Yeah, it was something.
Yeah, it was supposed to be Four Loko, clearly.
Yeah. So then Tanner and Fawcett have a chat. It's like zingers after zingers. They're calling each other bitch. Like, it's weird. And like whore, because that's like the only thing they know how to. That's like their term of endearment, just like calling each other sluts and whores. Then it flashes back to Brent and his mom, and they're like getting to the gay sex scene and Brokeback Mountain, and it gets awkward and uncomfortable, so Brent starts to drink.
Which his mom doesn't say shit about also. He's just like, I'm gonna go get a drink, and she's like,
and I feel like mom. She's a
cool mom.
But I do think that it's like very much in her character, like as a person in real life, that if Megan Mullally was my mom, she would just let me drink. Yeah. I feel like that just checks out.
You do it with her than if somewhere else and like get into trouble.
Not at Cameron's party. You don't want to be at Cameron's party.
Oh God.
So then there's a scene with Fawcett and Tanner dancing together.
Tension.
Ashley is super drunk. She's all over Fawcett also in this scene. But then she takes Glenn to a room so they could hook up because she believes that he is also gay. But Glenn is like, Which
is a recurring thing.
Yeah.
Like you said.
It just doesn't make any sense. He's like, I'm straight. And she's like, no, you're gay. Like, if I think you're gay, then obviously you're gay. And he's like, okay. And then they start to hook up. He also is like, you're super drunk. And they like gloss over that because he's like, you're super drunk. And she's like, you're gay. And then they make out.
But I feel like we also have to say that the reason that she is hooking up with him at all is because she's Mormon. She's not allowed to have sex. And so she thinks that because she thinks he's gay, it doesn't count.
It cancels out.
It doesn't count. Yeah. Also, he's going to teach her how to do an HJ, a BJ, and an RJ.
An RJ if they're lucky.
If they're lucky.
Can we also talk about
RJs don't count when you're Mormon.
And when it's with someone gay. Can we also just say that he wasn't teaching her at all because they were just making out and nothing? Also, there was no talking.
Also, in the next scene, he is tied up with her pearls. Like he is tied.
So he's kind of freaky.
So Tanner's super drunk and he meets Christian. Christian's just this, nice white
boring
British boy.
Yawn.
I think he's cute, but I'm like he's not like
no.
Wow. I think
for all the hype that he got.
Yeah, he's not the kissable lips that I think Tanner saw in that blurry photo.
He didn't have any lips. Can I say that?
Yeah.
Oh wait! Oh my God! We forgot an important part about the lips. The dick sucking lips. The DSLs.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Caprice says that Tanner has high speed DSL.
Yeah.
Doesn't she say that? What's his name? Christian.
I missed that.
Has DSLs too.
She says high speed. She says that high speed DSL.
Oh my God, it's awful.
I also learn new slang in this movie every time I watch it. I'm like, I don't know. They say
you should never
mo,
use
and I'm
any.
like, what? Yeah, I should never. All this slang is actually just like slurs.
Yeah.
So a drunk Tanner then meets Topher, and Topher for some reason still thinks Tanner wants to hook up with him. I don't know why. And then he barfs all over his shoes.
As he should.
As he should.
Topher
So
deserved
drunk
it.
Tanner then leaves and meets up with a drunk Brent, because Brent is hanging out outside of Tanner's house, and they have a heart-to-heart. It's kind of cute. They basically make up and make out, ladies.
Relatable.
Ooh.
And then they wake up in bed together, and they're like, "Oh no, did we have sex?"
In their underwear.
In their underwear.
In their underwear.
Tanner's wearing whitey tighties, and Brent is wearing purple briefs. It's like a weird combination.
Yeah, that's not what I would have pictured for them.
Yeah. So then the Tanner's stepmom knocks on the door, and she's like, "Hey, you want some food?" And Tanner freaks out and puts Brent back into the closet. And then he talks to the stepmom, says he'll be out in a second. And then he's like, "Brent, you need to leave." And Brent's like, "Okay." And he tries to walk out the door, and I'm like, that probably wasn't the smartest move, Brent. And then Tanner's like, "No, you got to go out the window." And instead of putting his shoes and pants on, Brent just throws his shoes and pants outside and then lands in the recycling bin, butt in. And I'm like, what? And he just kind of gets out the recycling bin and has a walk of shame.
He literally could have just put his pants on first.
Yeah.
There was no rush.
Yeah.
They weren't like, "Brent, get out now, hurry." There was no rush. Brent just was like, "Okay." And throws him out the window.
It was also a Saturday because the party was on a Friday. What does anyone have to do?
Yeah.
Take your time.
So that following Monday, Caprice is like, "Hey, so I know things didn't work out with Christian, but he wants to try again." And Tanner's like, "Okay, I guess so." Because Tanner's also not really a character. He just kind of goes with anyone says. And then Ivana Lynch is head of the prom committee. And she's like, "Hey, so..." And Tanner's like, "Hey, I want to take a date. Me and my date are going to go." And she's like, "Oh yeah, just tell me what's her name and where she is from." And Tanner's like, "I'm gay, so it's gonna be a he, ma'am." And she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, we can't do that here. You don't get the couples discount. It's not gonna work out." And Tanner's like, "Oh, that's kind of sad." And then Foss is like, "Wait, no, is it JoJo that comes in?" That's
Yeah.
No,
oh yeah,
JoJo.
It's both JoJo and Fawcett, because Fawcett's with Tanner all the time. And JoJo's like, "We should have a meeting about this in GSA. Come to GSA." And Tanner's like, "Okay." So the girls and Tanner are in the gym. And I want to point out
that's something you get to do in the middle of the day in high school.
In high school, they also never go to class. The one class scene is where he loses his phone, and that is it. And also Fawcett's wearing high heels while she's doing sit-ups, because I was like, what is she wearing? And they basically talk about JoJo and her like GSA, and Tanner's like, I am tired of feeling used by you guys, so I'm gonna go to it and see what happens. Maybe they'll be able to get me into the prom. So then he goes, and JoJo's like, yes, I finally have a gay person in this goddamn like alliance. And Natasha Lyonne's like, hey Tanner, nice to have you. And then all of a sudden Fawcett comes, and Fawcett's like, I also want to help. And JoJo's like, this is kind of like my thing. And Fawcett's like, shut up, this is gonna be my thing now. And then there goes JoJo's thing. And Natasha Lyonne also has like a really deep conversation where she's like, yeah, I also had a GBF, and I went down that road, and like he's gone from this world now. And everyone's like, what? Did he die? And Fawcett's like, oh my God, guys, he died from HIV. And I'm like,
except she calls it the HIV.
Yeah, HIV. I was about to say that. She does not say HIV. She says the HIV.
And we are, I think my computer was like a little bit like more like forward than you guys, so I listened to that scene, reacted, and then I watched all three of you guys also react like so viciously.
I also typed in the chat like before she's like, when Natasha Lyonne was like, he's not with us anymore, I was like, they better not say he died of AIDS. And then they did.
But no, it turns out that he's just in San Diego, and the real person that died is just her cat,
Anderson Cooper,
which is really sad.
Rip.
So yeah, so then the girls at GSA, I keep saying girls, I don't know.
It's all girls and one guy who has lesbian mom.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they all decide that they want to make an indie prom that's inclusive. So then there's two proms battling out. Hold on, I lost my notes.
Oh no.
I'm here. I just lost my little so then the next scene is like Ivana Lynch's prom, the traditional prom, versus like the indie prom. And Ivana Lynch is like, we don't want any gays or like heathens at our prom. And the indie prom, Foss is like, we only want cool people. And Tanner's like, that's not how this works. Like, you gotta have to be inclusive. And she's like, no, honey, you like will understand when she like talks down to him, she's like, no, I got this. And they continue to only invite like certain people to the indie prom. So then I also forgot to mention, Glenn runs into Brent earlier and is like, oh, did you hear that Tanner might be, wait, hold on.
No, because the newspaper comes out.
Yes.
And it says that Tanner endorsed Fawcett for prom queen at the GSA meeting. So Glenn comes up and is like, hey, like, saw you did that. Or did you see that Tanner did this to Brent? And Brent's like, hello. And Tanner's also like, the fuck? I did not do that. I did not endorse anyone.
Yes. And then Glenn comes up later to Brent and says, hey, did you know that Tanner is going to like go to the prom with a guy? And of course, Brent is thinking it's going to be him because they had like that emotional moment at after Cameron's party. And they slept over
together. Why wouldn't it be him?
So he's like, the same. He's like, oh no, he's like, oh yeah, that's kind of cool. So then, why is my note so weird?
What happens next? Oh, doesn't he like corner Tanner and like with the newspaper?
Yeah. So Brent asked Tanner about the prom, and then Tanner's like, oh yeah, I'm excited to I'm excited to take another boy. And then he's like, oh, and Brent's like, I wasn't, what? And he runs away. And you're like, ooh, that's awk. So then Caprice and Britt meet later, like it's like a film noir movie, and they have like trench coats, and they're like, we need to take down that indie prom. And then Ivana Lynch comes, and because she also wants to take down this indie prom, and they have to. And Caprice knows Brent's gay because, of course, everyone knows he's gay, but Ivana Lynch does not. So he has to pretend to be straight. So
Caprice also is smoking a cigarette in the hallway while wearing a like full-length leopard coat. leopard print trench coat.
Yes.
And she
Never looked
fucking kills
cooler.
it.
Yeah.
We love
Never
her.
looked cooler.
Um,
I would love to be her.
Mm-hmm.
Caprice also wants to be prom queen of the traditional prom, so that's kind of why she's going along with this as well. And then Brent wants to get back at Tanner.
Oh my God, that we didn't, and the reason that Fawcett wants to have this alternate prom is because they ran the numbers and she saw
Yeah,
the early
they had-
polling.
Yes,
Yeah.
I was about to talk about that. That's the next scene.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. No,
No,
you're good.
don't be sorry.
Yes,
The
I know
polling
you're super
data.
excited, and that's we
I'm
love.
so excited
we
about the
love-
polling data.
But again, like
The
Fawcett
tension
is
in the scene, by the way. Just saying.
Fawcett is excluding people again, and Tanner has enough. He runs out and he's like, "You need to stop using me as like a human being. I thought we like as a gay, just like token gay. Like I thought we were actually friends." And Fawcett breaks down crying. She's like, "We're actually friends. You're the only one who knows that I'm like smart with science," which is ridiculous. And then what Dan mentions earlier, she's like, "I ran the polling numbers and I know I'm not gonna win. I'm like, I only have 10% of the popular vote, but 90% of the people think I'm a soulless bitch." And I'm like, it's because you are. You like have done nothing to make it seem like you're not a soulless bitch.
But somehow it works on Tanner. He's like, wow, I stick with you. I rise.
Tanner was like,
You
well,
can't
compromise.
You can't
Right.
forget that the reason her hair is nice is because she's good at science. We
Yeah.
have to remember.
She
You're
just
right.
wants to be loved and have the crown. Can't she? Come on. So Tanner's like, we'll compromise. Stop treating me as like a gay token character, and I'll make sure you get that prom queen. And they're like, deal. And you're like, okay. And then so the next scene is Brent going into the traditional prom meeting, and Ivana Lynch is like, so what are we gonna do? And he's like, we're gonna make these posters. And then the next scene, the teacher and the principal and Natasha Lyonne is like, these posters are offensive.
Because the posters were offensive.
The posters were offensive.
Well, the bad one was like, come to our prom where no one will toss your salad.
And Judas went to gay prom. I remember.
Judas
And
went,
then, like,
Judas
and,
went
like-
to gay prom was the best.
Like, yeah. Also, before that scene, I forgot to mention, Topher confronts Brent and they start to make out. And then Topher's like, yeah, Tanner rejected me. And Brent's like, no, I don't want his sloppy seconds. And then leaves. And good on Brent.
Good on Brent.
Good
Yeah.
for him.
So the traditional prom is canceled because the signs were so offensive. And the principal was like, you guys are lucky I don't expel you from school. And they're like, dang, we don't have the traditional prom, but we'll protest the indie prom. So the way they're going to protest is that Brent and Caprice go in like normal and put glitter in a bucket, Carrie style, dump it on Tanner and Fawcett, make a whole scene, and then laugh maniacally while Ivana Lynch is outside, literally in like battle gear, protesting the prom and like reading biblical verses like it's in front of an abortion clinic. Like it's bad.
She had like the war paint on, and I was like, what is that? And it said Leviticus 8. It was like LEV on one and the other was 1822, and I was like, what is this? So I googled it, and it's the like Leviticus 1822 is the Bible verse that's like, do not have sexual relations with a man as one does with a woman. That is detestable.
I didn't look it up, but that's what I figured it was.
I'm shook they paid attention to detail, and actually put the verse.
That attention to detail is what really elevates this as a movie.
Knowing that now actually makes me respect it a little bit more. I thought they just threw a random verse on there, and I was like, okay, we get the idea, but that makes it just a little bit better.
Just another nod to the fact that they're Mormon and we have to talk about it every single scene.
So Topher and Ashley break up. She's like, you're way too mean, and I'm gonna date Glenn, the gay man, basically. Ivana Lynch is also racist because she calls Caprice her
SBF.
her sassy black friend. And Caprice looked like she wanted to punch her in the face, and I wish she did.
I wish she had.
So then there's another scene with Tanner's stepmom again, and I'm like, she always wants to feed him because she's like, hey, you want some more food? He's like, no, I'm actually coming out now. And then he comes out to them, and his parents are like, we know. You don't clear out your internet history. And he's like, and they're like, yeah, we know that you only like guys. And he's like, I could be bi. They're like, bi? What? Bi coastal. That's what the dad said. They're like, okay.
And he's
The
also like,
biphobia
Abraham
hopped.
Lincoln was gay.
He was.
Which he was. We
He
know
was
that.
gay. We know that.
TikTok taught us that. So was
TikTok taught me
JFK
anything.
was also gay.
We knew that. We knew
Like-
that too.
Come on.
Okay, so we're in the finish line. This is the last scene, and it's prom because, of course, every High School Musical has to end musical. Every High School Musical, a movie.
Oh my gosh, a GBF musical.
Ooh.
We'll
I
talk
would
about that
watch.
after I'm done.
I'd hate it, but I would watch.
So there's a prom pic montage, of course, because it is cute. Like everyone kind of has nice dresses on. It's definitely early, like 2010s, so like all their fits. I want to also mention, I think Fawcett drives a Porsche because the car that comes up, I'm like, hello, she can afford a Porsche.
Oh, my favorite moment of the photo is when Megan Mullally is taking the picture of Brent and
Yes,
Caprice.
Caprice.
Caprice, and she is like, "Work, girl," and Caprice is like, "Okay," and Brent is like, "She's talking to me." And then she says something to Caprice like, "You've never, like, you look so great," and Brent is like, "I'm pretty sure she thinks you're a drag queen," and Caprice says, "I'm okay with that."
And I love that for
Yeah.
Caprice.
Caprice is probably the best character in this movie.
I love
gotta be honest.
Caprice.
I love Caprice. Caprice
Um,
and Sophie are top tier.
so then the next scene is Sophie on her laptop. She also, I noticed, has a CD drive on in her laptop. I'm like, remember when we had CD drives on our
Drives on
Mac,
our
guys?
laptop.
So then Glenn comes and he's like, I'm going to prom with Ashley because again, she still thinks he's gay.
And he wants to do the RJ.
He wants to do the RJ, the
RJ.
HJ, and the BJ, and he
Mhm.
begs Sophie to come to write for the Gazette. Because I forgot, like, throughout this, they have a newspaper. They don't really mention it that much. It only pops up when they really need it.
It's a
Glenn
good
is, like,
plot
literally-
device.
Yeah.
Literally, because Glenn is not part of the paper until the very end of the movie.
Suddenly he is.
Like, he holds up the paper and said, like, "Do you see this thing?" But isn't he supposed to be on the paper? So
Yeah, I
wouldn't
mean,
he know
he
that they
seems like
printed
he's
already
the
know
editor
before he
because
read the
he's like,
paper.
I need you to do this for the Gazette. He seems like very important, but yeah. So then, so Sophie comes to prom. So all the girls and gals are there. So then everyone's dancing with their respective GBF. So Glenn was with Ashley. Fawcett is with Tanner and Britton's with Caprice. They all show up over the punch bowl and it's awkward.
Awkward.
Tensions are high. Everyone leaves but Britt and Tanner, and they kind of like look at each other longingly, and then they leave. Also, I forgot to mention Christian because again, Christian's not really. We don't care about him. Chris is also
Yeah.
there, and Christian and Tanner are trying to dance, and Fawcett keeps getting in the middle of them, and it's awkward. Like she should know.
Attention.
The third wheel is hard, and then so Tanner goes to the bathroom, and Christian's like, "Hey, so we should get out of here. This prom's kind of lame." And also, Christian's in college, so I can understand why he kind of wants to get out of the prom.
But also, don't go to prom with a high schooler when you're in college. That's weird, Christian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was like, "There's no age appropriate gay in 20-mile radius." Like, first of all, what college are you going to? Like, yes, like our college was gay as hell, but like, come on.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
saying that a high school senior is age appropriate for you if you're in college, I wouldn't go that far. Like,
I wouldn't either.
I don't
It
think
just
that's age
doesn't click.
appropriate.
I don't
I
even.
don't
I
think
forgot that
so.
they said the 20-mile radius thing because now I'm like, does he go to college? Is
Except
that
for
like
that-
a
on your
front?
college campus.
Except for that's not true
That's
because
the
if you use
radius.
Gaidar, apparently there were a ton of gays because Brett and Tanner were messaging them earlier in the movie, and then Topher is on it. So if he just like actually tried, then he would be able to find people.
Maybe he's not on Gaidar.
He needs to get on Gaidar. It seems they have an
He was,
excellent
though, at the
tracking
end.
device on it.
He
Yeah,
did
he
get
did.
a sidebar.
Yeah, he is on it.
later.
Because that's how we
I
met up with
Brigham hung, you
Brigham
mean? So anyways, surprise, surprise, Tanner and Christian don't work out. And Christian leaves and he texts Brigham Hung, which is Topher, and they go hook up. And they are out of the picture for the rest of the movie. So then Sophie and Tanner talks it out. They really like get it a heart to heart again. And Sophie's like, you've been kind of a dick. And he's like, yeah, I'm sorry. I miss you guys so much. And I just want to be friends again. And they're like, yeah, let's be friends. So then T Foss, which is Tanner and Fawcett, win the prom queen and king. Woohoo! Yay! We didn't expect that. Fawcett wants to give an impassioned speech. I know it, but Tanner cuts her off and is like, "Actually, I want to talk." And she's like, "Oh."
the Lohan moment.
So then a Lohan moment, as Brent and Dan call it. And Tanner gives a heartfelt speech, an impassioned speech about how he is not just gay. He's like a person. He loves comic books. Like just his own. He wants to get married, but he doesn't want to get gay married to me. Like, you know what I mean? And he really misses his friends. And Britt and Caprice, who are holding, like, they're on a Looney Tunes cartoon. They're holding this rope. And they're like, oh no, we can't, like, let go now. But then Caprice does. And she's like, oops, sorry. So then Britt.
Oh, wait, she was so moved. She was like,
she
"Oh,
was
that's
so
actually
moved.
really cute."
Like, she
And then
doesn't
she's
do
like,
Like it
He
was
doesn't
legit
do
an
it on-
accident.
Yeah, it was.
He
We
doesn't
can't
do it on purpose.
We can't slander Caprice because
I
Not
wasn't
our
trying to
speech.
shame her. She was just so enthralled by Tanner's speech that she lets go
Yeah.
of the rope, cartoon style. The glitter falls. Brent runs, pushes Tanner and Fawcett out of the way, gets hit by glitter, and now he's gay. He came out. I don't know how that
He
works.
actually didn't come out at all. They were like, "Oh, you came out now! Like that's so exciting! Congratulations, you finally did it!" I'm like, he just fell on the floor and had glitter on him. That's not the
But
same.
Britton's out, so it's now Britt and Tanner are the two gay guys. Then the movie kind of sort of ends. There's some loose ends that kind of go up. That's when we realize that Topher and Christian are hooking up. Like they're all friends as well. Like the Queen Bees are all now friends with Tanner's friends, which I'm kind of confused because they don't interact at all. And then Tanner has his inner monologue and he says the closet in high school are kind of the same thing.
Wait. We forgot a big moment though. When him and Brent have a conversation about
Yeah,
how
I was about to.
Oh, okay. Doesn't that come before though?
No, the weird high school thing comes before that. And they're like, talk about high school. And then they go straight to them dancing. And it's cute. You're like, oh, that's kind of cute. And then Branner and Tint. I've been saying their names too long. Britt and Tanner like have a heart to heart. They're like, I really miss you and I miss having my best friend. And they talk about how if they dated, then things would get awkward. They might break up. Then I no longer have a best friend. So we should just be best friends, which is like reasonable, I guess, because like they're about to go to college. So it makes sense. But you're still kind of rooting for them, I feel like.
Yeah.
So they give the heartfelt song. The song that's playing is that song that's in the background. I'm like, it plays in every high school scene. And then it cuts to the rest of the school year where again Tanner's friends and the Queen Bees are all friends now, and they all hang out and they all have good times. Fawcett is now a science girl and a queen bee because you can have both. You don't have to be other. Yeah, that's about it. I don't really know how to wrap this up. And then
Glenn and Ashley,
they like go over superlatives.
Yeah, Glenn.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
they go over
Everybody gets superlatives except Tanner. Because he's
which he likes it that way.
I'm fine with it. I'm different that way.
Yeah,
I hate Tanner.
Tanner's
We'll
an
get
edgy
into
boy, and he thinks he's so cool.
Did y'all get high school superlatives?
Yeah. No, I got nominated for best smile.
Oh,
I didn't win, but I did get nominated.
That's
an
nice.
honor just to be nominated.
Yeah, it really was because I did not. My name was on there, and I was like, "Hello, who nominated me?"
Oh,
We
and that's a
had
little
them, but
piece
I
of
wasn't.
paper that everyone votes on.
Yeah.
We had the superlatives, but like I wasn't cool enough to get them. But
Yeah, I don't think
People-
I did either. But we
did
definitely
you get
had
one,
them.
Dan?
I got best laugh.
Aw,
Cool.
that's nice.
That's
Let's hear a
nice.
demo.
Say something funny.
Well,
We're about to say a lot of funny things
We
when
just
we
got it.
review this book. I mean, this movie.
can we talk about how that recap? Like, there was no way you could have made it shorter.
I
It's
tried.
very-
I tried.
I know I'm not faulting you at all. This is just how insane the movie was. Like there was no way Kiana could have made it shorter without like us not being able to convey to like the listeners what like insane stuff happened. And we've been recording for an hour.
There are so many moving parts of
Oh my
this.
God.
Oh my god! No, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry
Don't be
to our
sorry.
listeners.
It's not. It's not the listener's fault. It's GBF's fault because
It is
why did they make
GBF's
the
fault.
movie like this?
I
The
also want
movie.
to say
It's
There was
insane.
like literally no like there was no way you could have made it shorter.
Yeah, I tried to cut stuff out, and then you saw me lose my position, and then you guys had to like fill in because I left some key points out because that movie
Yeah,
has so many
was
things.
all
I was
needed.
typing constantly. I was like, when the we also had ads. This watch that would cut off mid sentence. They're like telling a joke, and then it just Jersey Mike's. But it gave me enough time to rest my fingers and catch up because there was so much.
We shouldn't have made you do it because of your carpal tunnel.
Oh no!
My carpal tunnel is fine. It's fine. It hasn't had
We
a
need
flare up
to
recently.
pause and give Kiana a best recap award because
Oh, thank you.
poor Kiana had to go
you
through it
won
for
the
this one.
superlative this time.
Yeah,
Best
hey.
recap. Next to best smile.
Da-da-da-da-da-da. That was
So
fun.
I've been talking a lot, but I want to hear everyone's reaction to this movie.
Yeah, and
Oh.
I specifically want to hear from Dan and Emily because this was their first watch.
Yes.
I took so many notes.
Good, good.
I took just no notes. I just found. So this will be good.
Dan, do you want to launch us off with one of your thoughts, and then we can go from there?
Oh gosh.
Anything is game. Don't feel stressed. Just
Loved the Poppers shout out. I feel like that was ahead of its time in 2013 when this movie came out. My like final thought was I am so glad I did not watch this sooner than now as like a semi self-actualized 25-year-old who is like very much sure of myself and my like friendships and sexuality, and like this would have done some damage if I watched it like
yeah, no.
Pre-
for
Maybe
coming
that's
out.
why
Very
we
good
loved it
point.
so much.
Oh my god, are we just traumatized? Is this like Stockholm
Did it-
syndrome?
Did it do damage to you guys? Is that
Maybe
I don't know
that's
why we liked it. Maybe it's because like we were like, because we watched it before, and then like at least before I realized, and so before I realized I was gay, and I was like, why did I like this so much after this watch? Because like
Yeah.
there's no good portrayal of like gay people whatsoever.
there's
I'm
no
not
good
really sure.
portrayal of any type of people? Like
No,
which-
that's true. It's racist. One of my notes was they are way too comfortable. The two like lead actors are gay. So if we like had to give an F-word pass, they would probably get it. But everyone
That's
else
a-
was way too fucking comfortable dropping that slur in the movie. Why did they say it so much?
That was when he's like outs Brent to Megan Mullally and calls him the F slur. He says, like, oh, and I'm allowed to say that now. Haven't you heard? Or something like that.
yeah.
Which I
Like,
thought
that's
was
such
funny.
It's like I said, like he is gay in real life and was playing a gay character. So I'm like, if anyone were to drop it, like that's fine, I guess. But it was just
Yeah, I wasn't sure if that the point of this movie was to be offensive to every single person like watching it. Like because everyone
think
again,
so.
like yeah, because everyone stereotypes of themselves. So I'm like, maybe that's the
Yeah.
point. But no, I think this movie, because I'm looking at the Wikipedia, and it calls it a teen comedy film. So it's not like a black comedy. It's not like self-aware. It's like a teen comedy film.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
It's-
This
It
feels like a
seems to be
movie.
sort of like, oh sorry, I was just gonna say, like, it seems to be sort of like on the edge of like some of the things they said and did like were clearly like sarcastic and in jest, but then it's still like, was that okay for you to do? I don't know. But then other parts that were like very similarly problematic, like it seemed like were not on purpose, and I just like it was a weird in between, and I don't know how I feel.
No, I agree.
Have
I
y'all
feel like
seen? Oh,
sorry. I was just gonna say I feel like if Clickhole were to make a movie like a gay coming of age movie, this is what it would be. Except that this isn't satire. That's all.
Yeah.
yeah. Have y'all seen? But I'm a cheerleader.
Yes.
I haven't seen that
So
one.
I feel like that is so like campy and leans into like we're making fun of this, and it's so self-aware that I thought this movie might have been more effective if it was a little more self-aware, because
Yeah.
everything seemed very sincere, where it's like, oh, this is just like bad writing or acting rather than like
Both.
funny or like
Yeah.
self-aware or campy. But also maybe
Yeah.
like it was campy in that they were like sincere about it and just did not succeed.
Yeah. That's true. That's a good point. I feel like they could have had more success if they genuinely leaned into the camp, because it would just give off same like but I'm a cheerleader vibes, which is like a cult classic. Like people love it and it's a good movie. I don't
Yeah.
know. I
I
don't really
also
know what they
think
were going for.
well, I think the beginning of this movie started off pretty campy because he has like an inner monologue. He's like, "I'm just average comic book nerd," and like, "But I'm gay," and you're like, "Okay, we'll see where this goes." And then when he actually becomes a GBF, it like slowly devolves into actual like the message at the end of the movie is like, do not like tokenize gay people. I think that's the message that I got from it.
I hope that's what they were trying to do.
But like, but at the end of
By
the speech,
tokenizing everyone the
yeah.
whole time and then saying not to.
So that's what I think this movie was trying to be serious, because at the end it had like a very serious message, and I was like, but you did this whole, why did you write this movie like this? If
Right.
you're trying to make this
Yeah.
message.
I think it was hard. I think part of the reason it was hard to pinpoint what they were trying to do and like what their intentions were is that all of the like problematic statements were layered on top of each other to stereotype multiple different groups of people. Like all of the like homophobic or racist statements, like like a lot of the homophobic and racist statements were made by the Mormon characters to stereotype the Mormon characters and to stereotype the people that they were talking to in like the way they responded. And it was just like that's why like watching the scene where they got coffee, I think was one of the first times where I was just like, I knew that this movie was gonna have these like jokey like stereotypes, but like I just didn't expect it to be so much. And I'm just overwhelmed.
Yeah, it's rapid fire. They're like one person says something, immediately there's a response. There's like no breath in between. It's just like response, scene is over, and you're like,
Literally. And all the insults or like whatever like have way too many words. Like it's way too wordy and like it's like adjective filled, and like when you're trying to hit the word count vibes, like it's just too long and sounds so weird and awkward. And then it multiply that by every single cast member in the scene saying one of them. It's just so bad. And also bad acting. So it's like they're saying these lines and they can't act. So it's just a recipe for disaster.
One of my notes related to the slurs is that we don't use sodomite enough as a slur, which I will start using. I want to reclaim sodomite.
Seriously, let's bring it back.
I'm gonna single-handedly do that.
also, oh, go on. I've talked a lot.
I was gonna say, didn't they have like an acronym or like a fun nickname too that went with sodomite, like a shortened version? Am I making that up? Maybe they didn't.
Maybe.
We should think of one.
So fun. Oh my god.
I really liked in the end that they Brent and
That's their
Anna.
couple name. Trent.
Brent and Branner.
I
Like
liked that.
T-Foss.
I liked that the two of them didn't wind up together, because I'm such a sucker for like friendship is the real romance, or like
Yeah.
Oh,
you
Kind
love
of
your
here for
friend. Like have like are you all like the end of Broad City? I don't know. That
yeah.
I kept trying to think of
Yeah.
when was the last time I felt like this, but at the end of Broad City, when it's like, oh no, the real romance is like between the two of them.
The
Mhm.
friendship.
That's what it is. I was like, so that worked for me with this movie, with like the ending. Uh,
Yeah.
where I was
I feel
just
like
like,
the
yeah.
first time we watched it, I feel like we were disappointed.
Yeah, we
Right?
were. I
Because
think
we
the
were
first
like,
time we watched it, we were like, wow, we wanted them to really get. I also think we're really into like romance and relationships, but now since we're older, we're
for
definitely more
sure.
like, yeah, we love platonic relationships. Those are
Yeah.
great too. Like,
I feel like we had
for
less
me,
of a sense of friendship and like the love that lies within, and we were just thirsty. So we were like,
aw.
hello, why aren't they dating?
Right.
I'm confused. And then the second watch, we were like, oh, that's nice. That makes
I
sense.
feel like I had a moment of like, oh, why are they deciding that? Like they should just date. I think just because it was like the end of the movie and I was like, we should all have the tropey cliche
The
ending.
tropey music was playing.
But I did like it. Like after I thought about it, I was like, oh no, that's kind of nice. Like I don't know, it's a nice like different ending. Plus, when they did get together in the middle of the movie, I like, to be honest, wasn't really like expecting or hoping for that. So I was just like, oh, weird. Okay. So I guess that was a good ending to just sort of bring it back to where it started.
The
I
other thing
agree.
I liked was our queen. What was her name? Sophie Sadie.
Sophie.
She played Sadie on
Love Sophie.
Awkward.
I haven't seen Awkward,
Oh
but
my god,
I would watch it if she was there.
it was
I
like
liked her.
Awkward, like end of high school. I think my end of my high school was like Teen
Was
Wolf.
Awkward
It was
on
like
MTV?
yeah, because it was like a
Okay.
block of Teen Wolf, Awkward, and then Faking It, which Tanner was in. So it was like
And
I was
Faking It.
oh yeah, this was like early 2010s, like amazing. But Sophie, when she was like yelling at Tanner and was like, that's not cool, you outed him, like even if his mom knows, or and like even if he was like caused this to you, like you can't decide how to do that for someone, like it's shitty that it happened to you, but like you were still a jerk for doing this. And I thought that was very like coming out is like so different for each person, and like it's your own thing and you can't like I just thought that was very like prescient for a like 2013 movie, and for like everything else this movie like messed up. I thought that was one like glimmer of, oh, you got that right, like yeah.
Yeah, like this movie. Oh, Emma, were you gonna say?
Oh, go.
I was like, this movie, if it like, because we had that Sophie moment, we liked the fact that it didn't get like together. Tanner's like weird speech at the end was like good, but also could have been a little bit better. but like the movie had writing parts that were like, this could be a good movie if like all this other stuff was out. Like you just needed to like just be heartfelt and not like drop like cuss words and like slurs and like just like tokenism like the whole entire time. You're like, this could have been a heartfelt like team comedy, gay team comedy.
Yeah. I feel like going back to like when we talked about like she's a cheerleader and like being campy and like self-aware, Sophie's character was written really well. So it's like the power of good writing was there somewhere, or at
Yeah.
least like semi-decent writing. So like what happened? Like what? And it's like almost
Right.
like she's like the one who's out of the loop. Like everyone else is on this like plane of insanity, and like Sophie's the one who's out of the loop because she's like the only like decent human being who's rational. I don't know if they intended to do that, but that's how it came
Yeah.
off. So
What if
like
it just turned out that she improved all her lines? Like anytime someone said it, she was just like improving.
can we also talk about how oh no, Emily, you go.
Oh, I was gonna say it's almost like they tokenized literally every other character. Like could not have done it more on some of the characters. The way that they tokenize them to in like a specific box. It's almost like they like thought about doing it for her. Like they were this close to making her like the token lesbian character. Which like there was the vibe there and like some of the things she said and like where did she go to school in the end?
Sarah
Sarah
Lawrence.
Lawrence.
Oh,
Yeah.
That woman is
They were
banged
like it
out.
was a heavy hint, but like they didn't
Like they
didn't
said the
go all-
quiet part out loud with that one.
Exactly. But they
Literally.
didn't go all the way to like make her like the tokenized character that they made everybody else. So I just yeah, like what based on what Emma said, it's just very strange that they didn't just do that. Not that I wanted them to, because I much prefer the way they wrote her character, but like, why did they make that choice? I don't know.
I feel
Doesn't
like
make
okay,
sense.
I know I like Sophie, and I think that what she said was great, but I also think she was kind of one of the worst actors on this film.
That's
I
a
also think
hot take. I disagree.
Wow.
I just felt like she was just kind of running through those lines. I didn't feel like some parts she had was really impassioned, but like when she was maybe because she wasn't into her one-liners like everyone else, because everyone else was like fierce with their one-liners. They're like, I'm gonna like actually say it with my whole chest, and maybe she was just like she knew that these were like a little too bad, so she was just like, yeah, whatever. But yeah, I think sometimes she came off like very just like whatever, like I'm just gonna run through these lines.
I disagree with you, but I respect your opinion. I mean, I don't remember the one-liners. I mean, I to be fair, I think since we've watched this too many freaking times, now that I like have the eye of like a third watch, I feel like her character stands out a lot more to me now than it did like first or
Yeah.
second watch. But it's because there's so much insanity going on that it's like really hard to pay attention to someone who's level-headed. Maybe she is boring.
I didn't think she was boring. I just think that her
Or like the
she
acting.
wasn't like
I
a
meant the
very good
acting. I
actor.
meant the acting. Yeah. Can we? Speaking of bad actors, Tanner's is the worst actor. He's horrible, and that's gonna lead me into my rant about how I hate his character.
Let's
Just
go.
period.
I'm ready. We're
Um,
ready.
First of all, like I know the point we've been talking about how like the point is to tokenize people, blah blah blah. I really did not vibe with how Tanner would like tokenize Brent as like the out like flamboyant one and like wishing Brent ill will and like it should have been you that like goes through emotional trauma in high school because you're more flamboyant than me. I just like that didn't sit right with me. I hated it. I also was bitter that he's called dance music heinous pop dance crap. I'm personally offended by that statement. I don't think that's nice. And he like called Brent the Queenie one. Like just because someone acts Queenie doesn't mean they deserve to like be outed. And like also he fucking outed Brent to his mom, dropped the F bomb, even though Brent
Twice.
twice.
Yeah.
Even though like and Sophie said like, hey, like what Emily was saying earlier, like, hey, like, or Dan, I don't remember who, like Brent, like what Brent did was help you take a picture for Gaydar or whatever the fuck that app was called. What was it called? Gaydar. Literally Brent like downloaded Gaydar and took a picture, but you also like were there and consented to download Gaydar. So like
Yeah.
Brent didn't do shit. You wanted to download the app too. Like I don't know, it was just so much of like a victim, like not trying to victim blame because I think that he was subject to like a lot of tokenization himself, but just like the way like and I'm trying to think of like other moments that like didn't sit with me where he was just like, oh, this is so unfair for me, and it's like, but you're like also doing shitty things. I don't know. I
Yeah.
just
Well,
it
the
did not
moment where
vibe.
he
Blame
throws
the
Brent out of
person.
his house and it was like, get out. And you're like,
Yeah.
what? You just had like shared a night. You're not even gonna like unpack it at all. He's just like, goodbye, like leave. Or like the
Yeah.
next day where he takes Christian out to the prom and Brent's like, oh, I thought, and he was like, no, 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 why would you think that? It's not like we made out earlier that week
Yeah.
and slept in each other's
Yeah.
beds.
Yeah, Brent really forgave him for way too much stuff. Like
Way
just the
too
fact that he
much.
outed him to his mom was like not forgivable in that short amount of time, at least. Like
Yeah.
the way that they did. Like I don't know. And they were like, that's not okay of you, which like true, but then they all got over it. I don't know.
Yeah. And the thing is like it's like like I don't know. I might be thinking too deep, but like it's high school, like people make mistakes, like you know,
Yeah.
he's obviously like uncomfortable with his identity and it's like not and he's being like used by all these people, so he's like going through shit, but that doesn't give you an excuse to like be shitty to other people, especially like someone who's supposed to be your best friend for like 14 years. I think that the biggest beef for me was like the Brent, like how he treated Brent and was like, I wish this was him. This is what Brent would have wanted. Like I don't know. Like it was just weird.
Well,
And his
Tanner
that-
was. Oh, go on, Brent.
Oh, that definitely is like a trope, and I think like now that there've been a few like gay coming of age stories, because like this, Love, Simon, Call Me by Your Name are the ones I'm thinking of, where it's like the
Oh.
main character is allowed to be a dick, oftentimes to like straight woman, like best friend or whoever, and then is just like magically forgiven because it's like they're coming out, they're going through so much, they're being
Yeah.
terrible,
Happiest
and they're like
season,
giving
anyone?
Happiest
yes,
season
season.
yes,
2.
and they're like just given a free pass
Yeah, totally.
because it's like they're coming out and that's the worst thing that could happen, and like there's so much turmoil, but like really like it's like no, like yes, it's bad and hard and whatever, but like you still can't be a shitty person, especially to like your friends and your loved ones.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
like what we
That's a
said, a
good point.
happiest season. They were supposed to be girlfriends, and also they were supposed to be like best friends. And you can't just like you wouldn't be like you wouldn't be a dick to your best friend. So like just
Mhm.
like normally like just don't be a dick. Yeah, it's just weird that like they're supposed to be like so close, and then this thing like broke them up, and then they got back together, and then they like got broken up again, and you're just like, what is going on? This like if they just like communicated, we like had a healthy conversation.
Every movie, every teen movie, if you literally just sat down and were like, hey, like what you did was fucked up, like with outing me to my parents, but like I'm still your friend, but like you need to acknowledge like what you did wasn't okay, and like maybe we can start to like repair trust, and then things would have been more civil. But Tanner was too deep in like, well, oh, but I got no.
But it's weird because like in that scene he has a voiceover where he's like, he shows regret, like he was like, I shouldn't have done that, it's pretty shitty of me to like out my best friend to his mom even though she like doesn't know, and then he just like never tells Brent that. Which is
Yeah.
like
He
it's
doesn't
weird 'cause
apologize.
So it's like, how do
No.
you forgive him if he never apologized?
yeah, he just
Mhm.
like
They just made out at wait. Now I'm like processing it. He outed him to his mom. They actively like had disagreements and were like catty with each other. And then the next repair step is to make out when they're both drunk.
No.
Sleep
The next
in your
repair
same
step-
bed in your underwear.
no, you forgot that he
Is
was
this
like
me and my ex-boyfriend? I'm like, why are they doing this?
you
Why are
forgot when they were drunk, he was like, I'm sorry. I think he was basically like, sorry, I kind of outed you to your mom. And he was like, yeah, she already knew. Like, no, that's not how it works. That's not how you forgive someone. And then they made out. Like, that's basically how like much work it went into it, which is
I'm-
crazy because again, this movie had that like Sophie earlier in that scene was like, hey, like this is why outing someone without their permission is shitty. And then Tanner was just like, yeah, I don't really care. like it's weird. This movie's weird. Also, it took 18 days to film principal photography for this movie.
That's insane.
So maybe the reason why is a whirlwind because it literally was a whirlwind.
They got in, got out.
Wow, I'm surprised they got that much in 18 days. That's crazy. Can we talk about, speaking of outing, in the movie JoJo's the president of the GSA, and like the whole reason this comes to fruition is because she's obsessed with, or Natasha Lyonne says they can't have, you heard the plot. But I find it so weird that someone would be who's like committed in a GSA, which like in theory, even if you're not gay, like you're committed to being an ally and like supporting gay people, is committed to outing someone without their consent in order to have a like. Why is it so important? How could it possibly ever be important to be
There's
in a
that best
GSA?
laugh that's
That's-
coming out right now.
That's like definitely like another token like character though of like the straight woman ally who just
Oh,
like
I didn't
so
think-
wants to be seen as an ally.
I've watched
that-
this movie 4 times and I forget JoJo's in it every time. 1, 2, I forgot she was so diehard to get out him. Like she repeatedly was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna out this person. I can't wait to out a gay
And
man.
it was like, I'm gonna out them because they need my help.
Exactly. That's exactly what the vibe was. Yeah.
And my favorite line I have so many like quotes written down, but one of a top one is her like lackey when they're like telling Natasha Lyonne, like, hey, can't you just pretend to be gay or something? And the lackey says, I'm strictly dickly, yo.
Oh my god.
She says it with like she has scattered eyes. She wants everyone to know that she
She's
only
strictly.
Strictly dickly.
Strictly
yo.
dickly. Please. Oh my gosh.
Emily,
Wait,
what were you gonna
it's
say? Oh, I
oh
thought you were
sorry.
gonna say something.
I don't remember if I was, so go ahead.
Wait, I was oh my god, I just lost my train of thought. Jojo.
She gives off such GSA president energy,
She
like
does.
as a
Oh,
person.
yeah, she does. She does. I feel like in real life she'd be a genuine like she's like a good person. I like JoJo. So I feel like the role was right, but then like the decisions the character made was not right. But my point was to say that she acted like a classic white woman where there was no problem. So a white woman, in order to make themselves feel better, created a problem in order to fix it so that they could affirm themselves.
Exactly.
To be like that they can help the oppressed. It's like very savior complex vibes.
And then she did, like, she got what she wanted because she got to throw Alterna prom or whatever. And got
Right.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
And got
no.
like, yeah, like you are fully right because she solved her
But
problem and got
she
all the like praise.
Also,
She did.
Fawcett gives her the prom queen like tiara at the end of it, so
yeah.
she gets
forgot
everything
about
she
that.
wants.
I
After
saw that and I was like, that's
causing this
weird.
whole mess, she caused this whole movie. Like she.
I can't. Now I'm angrier that she got what she wanted because you're totally right. She did. Like in so many ways. And you know what's frustrating about this movie is that we talked about how none of the characters are self-aware, but by the end, like only the gay men who have been oppressed and tokenized this entire time are the ones who become self-aware, and no one else apologizes. Right. And somehow they all get to like be part of the fun and be like, wow, remember that crazy time? We're all better now. But none of them are better now.
Yeah, it's almost two things. It's like none of them become self-aware, so none of them realize like the things that they've done wrong to other people. And the movie or like the plot, whatever, fails to point out the fact that all of the other characters, or most, are also like tokenized and like put into these little boxes by other people. Like they do the whole thing to like point that out about the gay characters, like, oh, it was wrong of people to like paint them like this. But like they probably should have gone through that exercise for the people that had like racist things said to them, or like like just in general, like for most of the characters, like they should have pointed this out.
Also, I want to talk about how Caprice and Fawcett basically fought over the queen bee status. Ashley was not a queen bee at all. She did absolutely nothing in this movie besides demand BJ's, HJ's, and
RJ's.
That's literally all she did. She also, I mean, she was nice, I guess, because she was like, let people do what they are gonna do. They're gonna go to hell anyway. Like, it doesn't even matter. And I guess that's all right. But also, she was just like a useless character. Like, she did not need to be there at all.
How dare you call her dumb? She was committed to learning.
I didn't call her dumb. I called her useless.
No, earlier you said she was kind of dumb. How
was.
dare you say she's kind of dumb? She's committed to learning. She wants to learn about HJs and BJs and RJs.
The reason why
she's a scholar.
The reason why I also called her dumb is because she looked at that can of Four Loko and did not read anything on it. She was like, this seems like Diet Coke, even though it probably says alcohol 10% on it, caffeine heavy. I'm just like, what?
But don't forget, the reason she had to drink that is because she brought enough like diet, caffeine-free, alcohol-free ginger beer for everyone, but then people drank it all, so she couldn't have any. So she needed to find something else. And Caprice told her that it didn't have any alcohol or caffeine.
And it had both. Oh my god, wait. Caprice just sabotaged her Mormonism. I guess she would have done it herself with the HJs and the RJs. But
yeah.
I also just realized we went to Cameron's house, but we never saw Cameron, right?
Isn't Cameron the dude that went to prom? Oh no, it's Christian.
Yeah, we
Who's
never saw.
Cameron?
We were there like Cameron's party. We're so ready for Cameron's party, but we never saw
Maybe it
Dan.
was like one of the jock guys.
If you were at
Besides-
Cameron's party, what would you be doing?
I would be dancing with Fawcett.
Okay, me too, probably. Or with Caprice.
Well, we'd probably be dancing with each other, honestly.
Yeah.
But near Fawcett, so we could be like,
Yeah.
I
What
would
would you guys be doing?
drunk and getting everyone to go into the pool.
Ooh, okay.
Because I saw
love
a
that.
pool and I would
Yes,
be like,
you gotta
"Pool
utilize the
time!"
pool.
I would
Also, every
probably
high
jump
school
in the
party.
We should all just
With
get in
you.
our underwear and go in the pool. Wouldn't that
be
so
crazy?
Emily, what would you do?
Emily, what are
I
you
think
doing?
I would just have to try a Choco Loco or whatever they were called.
Choco Loco.
Choco Loca.
What were they called? Something like that.
Chica
Chico
Loca.
Loco.
Chico Loco.
Chica
And
Loca.
I guess I would just go in the pool too, because peer pressure.
This is why we never went to high school parties.
I have a couple of other questions that I have to ask about the movie.
Okay.
Earlier in the movie, when Brent is being questioned by Tanner, and Tanner's like, why don't you, because Brent is talking about how he wants to like make a big show of coming out, blah blah blah, and he says, Tanner's like, why don't you just come out and like text everybody and let them know? And Brent says coming out via text is the most gay thing that you could do. And I just want us all to weigh in. Is coming out via text gay?
I feel like that's the opposite of gay, honestly. Because I
Well,
don't have to see anyone's reaction. I could just send a text and then be like, yep, it's over. I didn't understand that joke.
I don't know if it was a joke. I think it was just something stupid they said.
The part that makes it gay is the part you're coming out. So I think you can do it anyway,
And it'll be gay.
and it's
Is that what
gay.
you're saying?
I think
that's what
the
I think.
gayest thing you can do is to make it the most about yourself and
Fair.
to like shift attention to be like my moment. So I guess it depends. Yeah, I don't think it's very gay. I think it's like very like low key. And you're just
Yeah.
like, hey, like
But it's
Kiana
kind of
said.
showy. If you're texting the entire school, which in
No.
every freaking High School Music movie, everyone has the numbers of everyone in the entire school. That happens so
Oh.
often. They're like, I'm gonna just text everyone. How?
That's true.
How did you get everyone's numbers? Anyways, I think if you're texting the entire school, it's both non-confrontational because you don't have to like do it in person, but it's also a little showy because everyone is getting the text.
Hmm.
But I was just curious. I feel like it's kind of gay. I feel like I would come out that way if I had the choice. Yeah.
Anything else?
Oh, also, Mr. Slatsky is homophobic.
Oh, yeah. That's the
uh,
teacher name that I couldn't remember.
I mean, he
I re-
definitely had a role in outing the student too.
Absolutely. From a teacher standpoint, I'm shook that he like indulged the girls. First of all, he was teaching a class and then like JoJo and her crew come in starved to out a gay person. And they're not in the class, obviously, because they're just interrupting.
I guess they also have free period because they're not
Yeah,
in their
also-
class.
Right.
Good point. And Mr. Slatsky, instead of being like, ladies, it's time, like, get the fuck out of my classroom. He's just like, no, don't. And like, they keep getting like, they completely interrupted what, obviously his lesson wasn't engaging or he wasn't doing anything because nothing was really going on. But like, these random girls are in your classroom and they should probably leave. So like, you need to tell them to leave. And then when he's just like, they're like, clearly like, there's a picture of an ab. We're on Gaydar, we're on Gaydar trying to find who the gay kid in the school is. Like, they're very openly revealing what their plans are. And Mr.
Yeah.
Slatsky is like, it is Tanner's phone. Why would you do
Yeah.
that as a teacher?
JoJo
This
also,
your phone, boy?
JoJo was ready to out Mr. Slatsky. She needed to.
That's
Wait,
true.
wait, I think it's important to note that the JoJo's character's name was called Soledad. I also think that's important to note. With the whole token white woman savior complex, Soledad.
Latinx icon JoJo.
Oh my god. I forgot that she was so ready to out Mr. Soledad. Mr.
Also,
Soledad.
Because
Mr.
then they were like,
Slatsky.
you have a wife, and then someone was like, that doesn't mean anything or something.
They also body shamed him. They were like, those abs are definitely not
They
yours.
did, yeah.
Also, I feel
You
like
know
if
what Mr. Slotsky's abs look like.
I feel like if I was Tanner, I just wouldn't have gone in after my phone. I just would have been like, how, like, did he have a picture
Yeah.
of his back of himself in the background? So he
That's
was
the
like,
thing. It's
no.
Oh, Tanner absolutely did. Tanner's on some fuck shit where it's like a selfie of himself as his background or something. Like, that's just Tanner vibes all around.
Also, Tanner must have been, because Tanner, that was like a point where Tanner was like, and I left it open on my phone. Like, how horny were you, dude, that you were on Gaidar in the middle of math class?
And then he has the audacity to blame Brett when your horny ass is on Gaidar during school. It's your
Close the
fault.
app. Close the app when you're done. Also,
Just-
if you're the only guy on Gaidar, why do you need it to be open during school?
Right.
We also need to talk. We have not talked about.
We have not talked about
How
Yana, just
Guide-
keep your microphone in what place?
we did not talk about how Gaidar can track you. Like she just used a GPS and was like, is that a thing for grinding?
Wait, it's a GPS, but it's not like a honing system. Like, I feel like that's really unsafe if your dating app can be like, I found you.
Dan is going to enlighten us.
Dan is on Gaidar.
Birmingham young.
on an app that Gaidar may or may not have been based on. It can tell you like down to the foot.
What?
So
Really?
because they were saying like they're 400 feet away, like 450 feet, like they were saying like how many feet away they were. So they were like walking and checking and like refreshing and being like this many feet.
So, like, theoretically, in real life, this could happen.
Wait, does that also mean
Yes.
that?
That's unsafe.
Does
Disturbing.
that?
Yes, it's unsafe.
Wait, does that also
And some
mean?
people get murdered that way.
Does that also mean Tanner was swiping on Robert Pattinson's abs? Adam Lambert?
So also, again, on the app that this may or may not be based on, that I may or may not have familiarity with, it's a grid, so you don't swipe. You just like see who's there.
Oh.
Wait,
Wow, the
so
more
then,
you
okay, so
learn.
then they didn't have to, there was like no interaction needed. They can just hop on Gaidar and
You
see
just
that
make
one
a
person's
profile
and then
and
okay.
you can see everyone. And like you
Why
can
don't they have to go
set
through
it by
so
like
much effort?
age to be like, don't show like filter that way or like through like other mechanisms. Because there are all these categories. It's like about categorizing people into boxes is
just
how
like
it
the
works.
movie.
And so you can filter that way or like block people and then they can't see you or you can't see them. But basically you have like full reign to see whoever is using the app. And most people, you can like turn off your location, but most people have it on and you can see like by the foot.
That's
Because
scary.
it used to be fun when we were in swim and it would be like 2 feet away and you'd be like, what? And then it would be like, they're above you, like on a different floor.
You pulled a JoJo. You pulled a Soledad. It's like a, what's it called? Metal detector.
Yeah.
It's a gaydar.
It's a Gaidar.
Guide. Might you call it a Gaidar?
Some might say it could be a Gaidar.
Yeah.
But let's, I know that there's no swiping in Gaidar, but if we're gonna have to put ourselves in Tanner's shoes, is he swiping on Zac Efron, Robert Pattinson, or Adam Lambert? And be
Zac
honest.
Efron.
I agree. I think
Yeah.
Zac Efron.
Either
The other
yeah.
two are two like alternatives.
Too
for him.
queenie for him.
Too queenie. I was about to say that. I'm like, Tanner is absolutely mask for mask. Like,
For sure.
For
1000%.
sure.
That's a
But
good
also he
point.
was
That's
gonna.
a good point.
But
But he did hook up with Brent.
that's the only gay
And
guy
then he
in a
was like,
26
"Ooh,
mile
no,
radius.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like, yeah, I stand by what I said about Tanner. I think
No,
that's
no.
how he is.
That's
No,
fair.
you're right. Yeah, I really just. I started this movie watching, being like, wow, this movie's gonna be so great. I can't wait to watch it again. And then I watched it again. I was like, wow. I
Yeah.
cannot. I don't think I could watch it by myself. Like if I watch it by myself, I think I would lose my mind.
That's true.
Mhm.
Two,
Yeah,
I could
me
never
too.
quote this movie, like because it's
No.
just filled with anything. So if anyone was like, whoa, what's GBF? And I'd just be like, you need to watch it yourself, or watch this podcast, or like read the Wikipedia
Literally.
page. Go to the IMDb to the quotes and just read the quotes, and you'll get a general
give
sense
you a
of
good
what
idea.
this movie's about. Like,
There's another good one, like about where I think it was Fawcett was like, and I'll see you next Tuesday or something to Ashley. And I was like, that's good.
That's not me.
Calling her,
Fawcett was like way
Just-
too.
calling her a C word.
Oh,
Because like, see you next Tuesday.
I get it.
That's kind of clever.
That was
I see
really
that.
clever.
I did not.
Because
Because
Fawcett was
Fawcett's
like,
smart.
oh, you're hanging out without
Yeah.
me? And Fawcett was like, yeah, this is a meeting just for us, and we'll see you next Tuesday or something.
I
Oh my
did not.
god. There was just too much going on. But Fawcett's smart. She does hair shampoos.
And that's how she learned science.
That's how
I
she
also
knows.
completely blocked out that she made her own hair care line. Like that felt like the first scene I've ever seen with her making her hair care line. She's
It's-
like, here you go. And I'm like, also you can't be mixing these dangerous chemicals in
I know.
your like back
In her
room.
bathroom, yeah. But
Like,
she that was the whole thing that was like at the beginning, the way they described her was like she won best hair in the yearbook every year. And it's crazy because you're supposed to be a senior, but she won it as a freshman, like all this stuff. So it's like, oh, she's just here for her looks. But then
and
you
her hair was
realize
not
that her
great in
looks
those
are only
photos.
good because of her science talent.
But only
That's
chemistry.
great.
Women in STEM.
Women in STEM.
Also,
Women
okay,
in-
I know we need to wrap this up, but when she apologized to Tanner, I was like, that is not an apology. You didn't. He was like, please stop using me as your token like gay friend. I thought we were actually friends. And she was like, really
The
good
polling
at science.
Polling data.
Polling data
I
says I'm a
analyzed the
soulless
polling
bitch.
data.
And I'm like, and then he's like, yeah, I feel really bad for you. We're friends again. And I'm like, what?
It's because of the tension.
And I think she said early polling data. Like, so there's multiple rounds of polling data for
Yeah.
prom queen.
Gotta be.
This is early in the school year. Like now she's scared to even look at the polling data now. It's probably like 99 to 1%.
Oh my god.
But also, like, she acted like a horrible human being the whole entire movie. Like, I
Yeah.
forgot how bad she was, but she was horrible throughout the movie. And she does not change again.
She doesn't. No.
Like, even after that
Mm-mm.
heartfelt scene, she doesn't really change. And I'm like, what? Are we supposed to root for these characters? I guess not really.
No. The answer's no. They're all bad. Well, not Sophie. Not gay Sophie. But everyone
Headcanon
else.
Sophie Gay.
Natasha Lyonne is good. She's just like,
Yeah.
I want to advise GSA.
It's
doing her
just like,
best.
oh yeah, the other thing is like Natasha Lyonne in the second GSA meeting, because there's only two, but it somehow plays a huge role in the movie. In the second GSA meeting, she's like, yeah, I noticed that everyone's being tokenized and I really like needed to speak out. But then like she's noticed it for weeks and like didn't talk to any of the students involved who were doing like the bullying of like the one gay person that came out. Like
But like, time is very unclear.
that's
Whereas, like,
true.
this could be weeks. This could be 5 days. Like,
That's true.
They like
But
go by.
she talked about it like in the past tense though, like she had already noticed and then was like, yeah, I already noticed. Like she just casually was like, yeah, I noticed y'all are bullying him. Oops.
And then
Anyways, don't do that.
and she talks
Please
about her dead
stop.
cat. Like it goes right, like it
Yeah.
turns
Yeah.
into a joke. Like she's like, "Don't tokenize Tanner." Also, dead cat. And we were like, "What?" how do we get to the end of this? And then she doesn't say anything until she shows up with the principal and was like, please do not post these offensive like flyer posters out. And then that's it. We don't see Natasha Lyonne besides those 3 times. And I think she was gonna have sex with the principal. It seemed really weird at the end of that scene.
That was implied. That was implied. Well, should we rate it? Should we wrap up and rate the movie? Okay.
I think this pod is as long as the movie.
Yeah, it might be.
Yeah, actually, it might be longer.
God.
What should we rate?
I'm trying to think of something to rate it by.
Whenever you're ready.
Why am I first?
I don't know. I'll go. I'll break the ice here. I'm gonna say that my past rating, like I haven't seen this in a few years, so like in my memories, it was like a 7 out of 10 for like campiness and like being corny and fun. But now that I like rewatched it again and remembered and like kind of was forced to look at it a little bit more closely, I think I'm gonna bump that down to like a 5 out of 10. I feel like it's bad on so many levels, but I feel like it could be like a fun drinking game and also something to make fun of with your friends, which is the only reason why I watched it in the first place, was that Kiana and I watched it together like a bunch of times. So I feel like it's solid for that, but it's not good. And I also didn't realize how many slurs were dropped. So I'm gonna keep it at a 5 out of 10 hot stepmoms. 5 out of 10 hot stepmoms.
Yeah, I feel like I have pretty much all the same reasonings as Emma. Like, yeah, fun, campy movie. Could watch as like a drinking game with other people or as just a fun movie to watch with other people. But definitely, there's a lot wrong with it. There's a lot to unpack as we have. So I think I was also thinking 5 out of 10. So I'll give it 5 homemade hair care products out of 10.
These are good ratings. Yeah, I think I'm gonna say with Emma, when I first watched this, I'm probably gonna give it like an 8 out of 10 because it was enough. We liked it enough to like rewatch it several times. Like it became like an annual thing that we did. So so I think the reason I'm also gonna give it a 5 out of 10 now, like everyone else, and because like it's a movie that I have good memories of hanging out with my friends. So like that's why I'm gonna keep with that. We also like, because of the ridiculousness and like the things they just said, we also had like genuine laughs, and it was fun to watch you guys react to like actually like full face just react to like things that they said, and that was kind of nice. But yeah, the movie itself is like not good. Like if you want queer representation, please do not watch GBF.
Don't watch GBF.
Or like watch GBF and be like, this is what we don't want.
Yeah, what not to do.
And it's crazy because there's like a lot of famous actors and actresses in this movie. Well, not famous, but like known actresses.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna give it the Chica Loco.
Ooh.
5 Chica Locos.
Okay, Dan, what's your rating?
I'm gonna be a little different, and I think of it a 4 out of 10.
That's okay.
It was like I laughed a lot, which like it was entertaining, and it was very fun to watch with like pals. But like, oh boy, this like would have done a number on me if I watched it as like an 18-year-old when it came out. So
I get that.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I'm gonna stick with a 4. And like just a lot, like all the stuff revolving around like Gaidar, and like there was just like so much going on that like didn't really pan out. So I'm gonna give it 4 out of 10 boner-induced amnesias, because that was a phrase that was uttered that I wrote down.
That's a good one. Also, that's totally valid, and we should have dived into why are they on Gaidar in high school, but another
like is a thing. Like I know that's but they like didn't critically analyze like we might be seeing adults on this, and like
Yeah.
I don't know. I study like technology and LGBT health, and like that was a whole other thing that I was thinking about for this, that like like young people using apps and there not really being any like critical thinking about that, and like how that informs your early sexuality in
Yeah.
like not a good way often, as like with this it directly led to you being outed against your will.
Totally. Yeah.
For sure.
Or like the fact that like they used Gaidar and it was just like for hookups. There wasn't even like a dating aspect to it. They were just like, it was like sex all the time, or like implied that someone was gonna they were gonna get laid from all this. And it was just like weird.
Yeah.
Like they're teenagers. We know, like there's this thing where we're like, yes, we know teenagers have sex. That is a thing, but then like we don't want to see it. Like that's not a thing we want to see. Like just chill out, you know?
Well, just like also the assumption, like even going back to what Dan was saying about like older people being on the app, like
Mhm.
in the movie it played out like the one time that they really used Gaidar, it was like one other high school, like they found other high school age people like in their high school and like it worked out well. But like that's like a weird picture to paint for those apps where like grooming happens or like weird interactions and like people thinking that it's normal to
Right.
like be hooking up with older. I feel like so many like conversations I've had with like gay people who have not even gay people, just like people on like dating apps, like internet apps. Y'all remember Kick? That ruined me as a child. Like
Mhm.
you're just like feeling like it's okay to like grow up and like be older and be communicating with adults because like you think that that's normal, but it's like not. So
Mhm.
definitely.
And the line about like I learned how to clear the internet history when I was 11 or something, when he was like, I've
Yeah.
known I was gay for a long
Like-
time. And then the parents were like, you're not good at clearing the internet history. With a whole other like tech element to this.
Yeah.
It's almost like if your kid is 11 and they're like looking at things on the internet, like regardless of the sexuality, like have a conversation. Have that
Yeah.
talk with your child.
Instead of
like,
waiting
about
when they come out
safe
to you like
practices, you
years
know?
later
Yeah.
and be like, haha, we already know. Like also
Yeah,
how
like-
like invalidating is it when you come out with to someone and they're like, we know. And you're like,
Pretty invalidating
yeah, you're just like you're
from my
just
experience.
yeah. So
Because it like feels so monumental. Like that's the other thing with like outing Brent, like even though his mom knew or whatever, like it still is really monumental and huge and like
Mhm.
scary because like you have to be ready to come out on your own terms in the perfect world, obviously, like when you're not outed like on your own terms. So like to be like, oh my gosh, like I literally came out to my dad the other day and I was like, I'm bisexual. And he was like, yeah, okay. Like I know, cool. And like obviously I'm grateful because I know that it can go a million different ways and I'm obviously grateful for the support, but like it is a little invalidating to be like, okay, cool, like where do we like okay, like
what happened? Yeah.
like it's almost like inherently or not inherently unintentionally dismissive even though they're not like they're trying to be supportive like oh no we knew like it's chill but it's like a little bit dismissive because they're like okay yeah we know okay
Yeah.
cool.
Also, like Hannah's parents are like not parents because they say we know, and he's like, oh, and then they're just like, okay, and then dad goes back to reading the newspaper, and like that is the extent of him like coming out, and he's just like, the stepmom of course offers him food, and then that's like it. Like that's not
Yeah.
a like you think after like. Because he was scared that his parents knew right after it happened. So you think after when he came out, it was like gonna be something. Not it didn't have to be like something big or monumental, but at least like something that make him feel good about it. But they were just it was just a joke for the movie, and you're just like,
Yeah.
okay, well, another joke.
Can we also talk about how the parents were like, yeah, like you didn't know how to clear this search history. We watched some really weird stuff. Like, why did they go watch all the videos?
Right. That,
And then
yeah.
not
And it's
talk
like
to him about
if you saw
Yeah.
that stuff, talk to your child. Like
Bizarre. Yeah, GBF is definitely worthy of critique.
Yes.
We're sorry we made you watch this, Dan, but thanks for watching.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I made you watch.
No, I'm glad we did. We
Oh,
needed
I'm glad
we
I
needed a
saw
wake up
it.
call. Yeah.
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 I'm glad
I
we
feel like it's a thing. Like people like know it as a movie. So I'm glad I
Yeah.
checked it off my gay movie list.
I know.
exactly.
I do kind of hope that like people do watch this as like watch it with your friends when you're in your 20s and laugh at how dumb it is and not like Dan was saying as like a teenager who's still forming their self identities. Like yeah, I think this movie is for a certain time in your life or should
for
be.
sure.
This is like
For sure.
peak like 2010s movie. Like things
Totally.
just like they just say things and you're like, because we watched Jennifer's Body recently, and that's like 2007, 2010, and I was like, I love Jennifer's Body, and then I watched it, and I was like, oh my god,
Same thing, yeah.
what?
They just be saying stuff. I still love Jennifer's Body, but they
Yeah.
they do be saying stuff, and you're like,
just like free willing, like just like throw caution to the wind, like and you just like they just said anything. And I guess because like it's a different culture now, like people are like they're trying to censor us, but they're not. It's just like be aware of how your words influence people and like affect people and stuff
Right.
like that.
for sure.
This and like going into the 2010s thing, this was like very clearly they thought they were woke. And like for like 2013, they probably were, but now in
Yeah.
like 2021, like, oh.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
and it's
like
crazy because like, oh sorry, no, Keanu,
no,
you
go ahead, go ahead.
I was just gonna say the first watch we had, I'm trying to like think of the year, but it was probably like
It was probably
2015
15.
or 2014.
Yeah.
Like that seemed kind of monumental for us. Like not like shaping our identities, but just like, oh, like this movie's like lighthearted comedy. Cause like we vaguely mentioned maybe like while we were chatting, like lots of gay movies are like sad and depressing and like
Mhm.
heartbreaking. So it's like, oh, like gay comedy, you know, like what we talked about with Happiest Season. So I think that for us that was like really big.
Yeah.
Maybe not woke, but just like different. And now I'm like, oh my gosh.
I definitely think the
no
reason why
thanks.
yeah, I definitely think the reason we first watched it because we're like, oh my god, this movie's gay. Like we don't really get that kind of representation in like 2014, 2015. So we watched it and we're like, wow, we watched it and we're like, wow, this movie's pretty wild. Like we still have the same reactions. Like we definitely knew that this
Yeah.
movie was wild, but like not really processing exactly all the stuff they really said. But
I think
then like
it's cool growth though, that like we are like still able to enjoy things with the critical eye. Like I think that's a really important like
yeah,
media consuming skill that's hard to like separate. And I feel like we're not being hard on ourselves, which is cool. Like we're like, yeah, this is what we thought then, and now we see lots of more things, but
yeah,
still
like
can
if
have a
this
fun
was
watch.
if someone was like, should I watch GBF? And I would be like, sure, let me list you the trigger warnings just in case, like
Yeah.
or like give you like
Literally.
a brief background just in case you don't want to watch it. Like I wouldn't
No.
like I feel like in my full chest like 2 years ago I would have been like, yeah, watch it, it's so good. And
Yeah,
then you
me
guys would have
too.
watched it and been like, what? Why did you recommend me that movie? And I'm like, oops, sorry. But yeah.
Well, thanks, Dan, for coming.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you
and
for
chatting
having
with
me.
us.
This was so fun.
I'm so glad you were able to come and
Yeah.
watch with us.
I'm glad your episode was 2 hours long, bro.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry.
2 hours
No.
long of Dan. We love
So
just
this truly was like significantly longer than the movie itself.
yes, but can I just
That's
say
okay.
it was good, full of amazing discussion, and I'm excited for the world to hear it.
I feel like we also didn't even like really delve into it. Like if we really wanted to talk about this movie,
We could
like,
easily do 4 hours.
Yeah,
For sure.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure. For sure. Make sure to follow us on Insta. Emily does Insta and is doing a great job. And on Twitter, because Kiana does Twitter and is doing an awesome
Ooh.
job. Subscribe on YouTube. Yeah.
Follow
Right.
Dan on Twitter.
Oh my gosh,
yeah,
yeah, plug
Dan.
plug yourself. Do you want to like
Yeah,
plug anything? Go for it.
At Delmonster_mash.
Yes.
DELMONSTER_mash.
Good hand.
On everything. That's what it is.
Twitter and Instagram.
Yay.
Twitter is my main release, so follow there.
Go follow him. Any other
Yes.
plugs?
That's it.
That's it. Go do it now.
Yeah.
All
If
right.
you've
But
made it this
don't-
far,
Yeah, if
should
you
follow
didn't turn
Dan.
on, if you didn't scrub the first 30 seconds, but you gave us a view, thank you for lasting
for the
this
view.
long. But yeah, please like our videos on YouTube, subscribe, comment maybe. That would be awesome. Let's get some interactions going
Yeah,
on,
let's
guys.
go. Let's engage with our audience. And this was
What did we
what did we
just
just
watch?
watch?